We are live. I am Justin, also known as the DIY Audio Guy. I'm joined, as always, by my partner in crime, Toyd's DIY Audio. How you doing, man?
Good. Although I do want to share this with everyone because Justin just said we're on in 5. And whenever someone says we're on in 5, you think minutes, not seconds. And then all of a sudden he's like, we're on. And I'm like, oh, we are. So, I was so taken off guard. But as you can hear from my throat, I'm definitely overcoming something. So I think, and I don't know for sure, but I think I had some type of virus. And I think it was the flu. So not great.
Well, awesome.
There.
So we got a few people showing up in the chat. Some of the usual suspects here. The true voice of reason. Alpha Wago's here. 25 Hertz to Life. Get Some is here. Good to see some of the usual crowd hanging out with us tonight. So I don't know if this show is going to be entertaining. I hope it is, because our goal is to simply do a year-end review. This is going to be our last live stream of the year, probably. Definitely the last live stream of the year. And so Nick and I are just going to talk about what all we did in the last year on our respective channels. And of course, ask you in the chat, what did you do this year? What did your year end in review? Did you build something? Did you install something? Did you build a kit? Did you install an amplifier, some car speakers, anything that you've done? And we'll take some time a little bit later on, and I'll star the comments as they happen. And we'll just let y'all kind of share some stories of what y'all have done as well. And Nick, I'm curious, any idea how many views your channel got this year in 2022 so far?
I believe it was around 2.6 million views. So not as good as it has been, but still not bad.
I'm kind of a data guy. Anyone who knows me knows that I love a good spreadsheet. And so I took a minute to put some numbers in a spreadsheet. I'm not sure how well y'all can see that on the screen, but it looks like I've had so far in this year 3.2 million views, which is quite a bit more than in previous years.
Great.
So I'm really happy with that.
Yeah, that's really good. And yours has been like on fire too. I mean, it's been like climbing like crazy. It's been really cool to see. I think anyone that's been watching it. I don't know. I mean, you can say that. I just think you've gotten like you've really hit your I don't know, the right spot, and you've got it grunt. It's really cool. It's been fun to watch. Yeah, you found your groove, man.
I think I have found
Stella got her groove back.
So far in 2022, I've had almost 27,000 new subscribers. So my channel size has doubled. And so that's kind of cool to see that happen. And this is one of those numbers that they throw out at us in the world of YouTube. It's one of those metrics, watch time hours. And so if you ever want to start a new YouTube channel, well, I made that larger and it looks like crap. You have to have 4,000 watch time hours before YouTube will let you have any money. And so I remember when I first started, I thought I'm never going to hit 4,000 watch time hours. And I see Mullen in the audience here in the chat. And those first 4,000 hours are so hard to get. And then you have this, eventually you get like, it starts to snowball, right? It starts to snowball and you get this head of steam going. And I've had 220,000 hours. So you people have watched my channel for 220,000 hours so far this year.
And it's pretty amazing. And one of the things I'll say too is
girlfriend.
Something happens. And we don't know like what, but all of a sudden something happens to you. And then that just kind of lets you know that you've had it. And it might be watch time hours. It might be viewers, it might be subscribers. For me, it was because my channel was almost a mistake. I've mentioned this millions of times. I never set out to put a YouTube channel out there. I literally created some videos for some people on AVS forum that had some questions on how to build the crossover for the Overnight Sensations. And I'm like, oh, I know how to do that. Here, I'll show it. And the next thing I know, YouTube's messaging me and said, do you want to make money? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Luckily, it was a lot easier back then to start a channel. Otherwise, I probably would never be where I am now. And anyway, for me, that point was when Parts Express reached out to me and said, we want to send you some stuff because we like what you're doing. And that to me was pretty cool. That's where I was like, wow, this could actually be something neat to do and fun. And so for me, that was it.
I remember, Nick, watching your channel when you did like a kind of a big, not so much an unboxing, but you showed on the video that, oh my gosh, Parts Express sent me all this stuff. I don't know if you were quite that energetic about it, but you showed that. I thought to myself, how cool would that be to have a company like Parts Express send me something? And now I'm in a spot where I've got a few companies willing to send me something, and I feel like it's been a hard fought battle, and I've earned it. So
I agree. And
that's, was that you?
I don't know. I didn't hear you cut out, but I was going to say, it must've been me. I was going to say, and that's the cool thing about it is, when companies start seeing value in your production work, and my production work was terrible. So it wasn't production work. It was just what I was doing, I guess, but it's nice. It makes you feel good. And then it does make you feel like, oh, maybe I have finally made it somewhere. Uh-oh, are we typing? What's wrong, Justin? I think Justin froze. He said my goal for 2023 is to get a faster internet. That's kind of funny because we were talking about his Christmas wish list, and someone messaged me after the show on Facebook. By the way, I actually have a Facebook account if you guys want to friend me. It's called Toids, and then DIY Audio's second, like last name DIY Audio. But I said the same thing to him. I said, yeah, that might be a good idea, is to get some different internet for next year. Yep, he's gone. So we were going to talk about some of our favorite videos. So I'll share one of my, actually, you know what? I want to share one of my duds, which is a recent video, but one of the ones that I actually enjoyed making. Oh, here comes Justin. Justin, you're back.
It's like clockwork, man. About 10 minutes into the stream every time. I think it's my internet service provider is the problem.
Yeah, sure. We'll blame them. I like what Mullen just said. He said, for me, one of the best things is making connections with other YouTubers and sharing information. And I think we both agree with that. Very much,
yes.
Right?
Yes. Absolutely. It's been real fun. There's a good crowd of YouTubers I've managed to connect with. I see Notorious RVH in the chat, for example. And yes, I do have a Communicast. That's Comcast is what I've got. They call themselves Xfinity now, so I got to change their name. They suck so bad. So
it's kind of true.
It's all good. It's all good. It works most of the time. All right, Nick, I got a question for you. What is a video that you were super proud of, regardless of how it performed? What is a project you built that you did a video of that you were just, hey, I love this project. This has been fun. I'm really proud of it.
So I'm going to mention, because you said project that I'm really proud of. So I'm going to mention the Klipsch KPT, which is the one that actually did the best for me. But I did that because I'm going to say that for a couple of reasons. One, because I think it absolutely is true. I think it was a project that when I got finished with it, like completed with it, I mean, those speakers sound phenomenal. I mean, they really sound good. And a lot of people were interested in building things like that. And so it was kind of cool to be able to bring speakers like that other people could build. And what brought me that thought was right before I got on there here today, someone actually got on the forum and just posted 3 of them they just built, which they were beautiful. They did it all black on black on black. And they're building 2 more. They're doing a whole 5.1 surround sound with them. I've had so many compliments on that speaker. So for me, I would probably say that speaker and that video. Did we lose Justin again? We lost him. I did. I am. I just 25 hertz life said, Toy, you sound kind of sick. I'm getting over the flu. All right. Well, Justin's gone. Yeah, I'm on the upside. Finally, I'm just now overcoming the sickness. But for me, that was the Klipsch KPT, and that's one of those speakers I feel like you need to hear because it has such a wide sound stage. You can really be standing like almost anywhere to get like a really good sound on those speakers. It really does a good job enveloping you. And what I didn't say to Justin, but one of the things I was going to say to Justin, it's really cool too because this Klipsch KPT use the same waveguide as the JBL ones that I made, the Soundstage 15s. And I got to say, I really like that waveguide. I think that waveguide is phenomenal. And one of the reasons why I really love both of those speakers. Yeah, we might end up having to do this show without Justin. Hopefully Justin comes back in a few minutes. It looks like he's probably yelling at everyone in his house, get off the internet. Stop streaming Desperate Housewives. There we go.
Somehow there were two of me on the stream when I came back in. So I apologize for the connectivity problems there, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, you know what? I don't know what happened, but it got deleted. But John K. Oh, no, it was Mullins Audio Performance Audio said that you were streaming Desperate Housewives. That's why you couldn't be on right now.
There you go. That must be it.
Yeah.
This is weird because I must have got a second window open or something because I've got a second need that I can add to the stream. So that's always fun.
So can you star Notorious RVH's comment? Because I want to talk about that later. We're not talking about it now. I want you to be able to talk since you haven't talked for
Nick's going that laser engraver. I want to talk about one of my favorite projects of the year, and it's a recent project. And it's a favorite partly because it is ongoing. It seems to be, I don't know, the project is Snakebit, but I still like it and I'm still really excited about it. And so I'm going to do a quick screen share here and show it right here. There we go. This is that Hi-Vi kit that I've been working on, trying to get it finished. And it was kind of fun to start something, show an absolute fail on camera, and then try to do a better job of it again. I'll get closer to the mic. Sometimes that helps. So the Hi-Vi kit was I feel like it's one of my favorite projects so far because it's such a good kit. And I've never used a kit or never had a kit that had all the parts in it. Every gasket you need, every screw that you need, fully everything you need for the crossovers, the crossover boards. And when I got the enclosures finished, they looked fantastic. Not perfect by any means, but the way they turned out so far is fantastic. And I get to make one more video out of it as I attempt to get the bugs worked out of it.
I know I was disappointed the last video because you wrote this whole like, oh, hey, thanks, Baba. Baba, sent a super chat.
Thank you for the $20 super chat. We sure appreciate those. Those super chats. The super chats aren't why we do it, but when we get super chats, we know that means we're doing something right. And so those always help a lot. So thank you so much, Baba.
Completely agreed with that. I was disappointed because your thumbnail said something about how they sound. I can't remember exactly how it was, but it definitely made me want to click on it. And then I clicked on it and it wasn't really about how they sounded. I was like, well, it was about your mistake, obviously, but I was like, what? I was like looking forward to hearing how they sound. I was like, Justin, you goaded me in, and then you left me dry.
That was the goal. And I don't know
what to goat me in.
Series. The first video in that series is actually one of my best performing videos of the year. And so it took off like a rocket. That was kind of nice.
Oh, good. Yeah. So I wanted to talk about Notorious RVH said, because he said, hey, Nick's got me wanting that laser engraver. I want to say that was one of my favorite videos that did not perform well at all. At least not yet. I mean, I guess it's still relatively new, but typically I have a lot more traction than I have now with that type of video. And I got to say two things. One, if you are interested in a laser engraver, a lot of people commented on that video and said, I don't want to pay $650 for a laser engraver. I get that. I mean, especially if it's like a hobby and you just want to try it. So today on my community page, I shared another laser engraver that I do own. I've never used it to cut through. I don't see why it wouldn't. I've never used that one for it. In fact, I'd never used a laser to cut through until I used the Ortor to do it, for that matter. But it's only $200. I think it's like $210 actually right now on sale. So if you are looking at that, check my community page out. I do have that one. I have used it to laser engrave. I'm not going to say it's as nice as the Ortor. It's not. There's a reason why it's $210 versus $600, but it does a really great job engraving and everything. And so I would have no problems engraving with it. In fact, I use it for Christmas gifts already to engrave. So highly recommend that. But if you guys haven't seen that video, I want to hear from you guys if you like that video or not like that video, because I did something a little bit different. So anyone that watched that video, I want to know if that was a good direction to go in or a bad direction, or what you didn't like about it, or why you think it may not have had as many views, because I'm just interested, because I enjoyed that one.
Yes, that would be great. That would be great. Y'all would be so snookered. Y'all would be ruined. Y'all would be messed up by now. So tools, okay, lasers. Okay, my sister-in-law got into the laser engraving business and bought a Glowforge, and by the time she bought, upper end Glowforge and the extractor to extract the smoke out and the filter and all that jazz, she was in that thing for $5,000.
Wow.
And so lasers, let's think about lasers. A $600 laser or even a $250 laser is, maybe it's a lot of money for a tool that you don't know if you're going to use or not, but it's pretty cheap for a laser. And that Glowforge business is doing really well. Their Christmas ornaments are flying off the shelf. And they actually used the Glowforge so much they broke it. They just wore the darn thing out. And most people who buy a Glowforge, they've got too much money and they have a hobby and they use it for a few weeks and set it aside. And there's this $4,000 thing. It's like a treadmill you buy in January, and by March, it's now a clothing rack. But they wore that sucker out.
And Glowforge is by far the most expensive, like, hobbyist one out there. It's like the shape.
I mean,
yeah, exactly. Or it's like the Shapeoko or X-Carve, where I would tell people, like, stay away from them. Get a different brand. You can get something a little bit nicer for less money. I would stick. I mean, that Otor is really nice. The X tool is really nice. That Focus. I mean, Focus doesn't use all metal parts. Some of the parts are acrylic. There's some things that acrylic, not acrylic, acrylic. And but it's for $200. I mean, you can't really go wrong. Just don't look at it. And you don't necessarily need ventilation depending on how big your space is, right? And how much you're doing. I mean, if you're doing what she's doing, you're going to need ventilation and you're going to need that type of thing. But once again, when you're starting with this, if you have it in a really big shop that's got a lot of ventilation, you're probably going to be fine.
Hey, Brian Townsend, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. I'm glad that you are enjoying the content, and you're always welcome to join late. There's no penalty for popping in a few minutes late. Thank you for the super chat. But laser would be a cool thing to have. A company reached out to me and threatened to send me one, but I was in I spent a lot of time this summer setting up tools, and I'm not excited about a CNC or a laser because I don't want to go through the trouble learning how to use one. Same thing for a 3D printer. Maybe next year I'll give it a try, but if I don't buy any big tools next year, I'll be fine. And my feelings aren't going to be hurt.
It's one of those things. Once you learn CNC, the laser's easy, or vice versa. So John K just said he just bought an Ender 3 S1 Pro. I actually have one right there, and I have it hooked up to this bad boy, which is Creality Sonic Pad, which gives it clipper, which allows it to run, I don't know, I don't remember. It's like 150 millimeters a second or something versus, the normal 40 to 50. I don't necessarily recommend the Sonic Pad, by the way, unless you really, really want to tinker. but it's fun. Oh, Phil, I run an Ender 3 V2 with clipper. He says with clipper, so he must be running it with a Raspberry Pi, it sounds like.
Gotcha. My big tool story this year is, of course, I built a garage this year, and that was something that needed doing anyways. It wasn't. I wish YouTube paid for it. It sure as heck didn't. Maybe it'll pay for it one day. But when I moved into the garage, I've been saving up and I bought a saw stop. I had a Cobalt table saw and I liked it. It was a good table saw, but it wasn't very sturdy or powerful. And so I upgraded to a saw stop because I wanted the extra safety. Opted for cast iron wings and everything, and getting that thing set up and dialed in was a real pain. It sucked about a week out of my life. I never did a video on it, and I set up dust collection. I bought one of those Harbor Freight dust collectors, and that was nice. Those were my big tool purchases, mostly stuff to kind of get the garage ready. I bought one of those Win air filters the other day, so that when I'm sweeping up all the dust or out there running stuff, I can right. That's the kind of the big ticket things that tool wise that I picked up this year, some toolboxes, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I didn't really buy much for the channel video. I mean, I bought a lot of computer equipment and some other things like that I needed, storage space, a lot of that type of stuff. I can't think of any major tools I bought. There probably are. I just can't remember what they are. I bought some DeWalt saws and stuff for the, some of the electrical tools and stuff that I need, but I can't think of like, what I would consider oh, you know what I did buy? Which I completely forgot about until now. You said tools was the, planer. I bought a planer for the,
excellent. That's if you're going to do stuff with like hardwood, a planer and a jointer are necessary.
So yes, and I plan to do more hardwood now that I finally found a place that sources hardwood at a reasonable price. I mean, that was a problem always when I lived out here. So for those speakers that I built, the Epic Hi-Fis, which a lot of people liked, that walnut for the face cost me over $100 for that. Just those. I was like, for crying out loud. And now I found one guy that would sell it to me for like 20. So
that's a big difference. That's a game changer. It's worth doing at that point.
Absolutely. Can you get some? I'll go back to him. And I do want to ask Phil Bossy, where are you from? You have to be from the UK. Oh, unless you had a Raspberry Pi already. Raspberry Pis in America seem
Phil
like
Bossy Pod says he's
I'm just
right.
Yeah, he has a Raspberry Pi. I'm curious where he's at now, or does he already have a Raspberry Pi? Because in the US, Raspberry Pis are like impossible to come by. But yeah, just get some. I want to go back to that.
Oh, I've got a couple of laying around. So get some. Let's go ahead and get some here. You want to see it real quick?
Oh, you have Raspberry Pis laying around?
Just ones I bought back before they became short supply. Before I started the YouTube channel, I bought some Raspberry Pis and played with them with my kids to see what they were all about. And they didn't go anywhere. But
that's like gold. You should be selling those on eBay for like 3 times what you paid.
Hey, maybe I should.
Just saying. Get some. That's actually the plan next year. I'm going to try to do more, you call them clones, whatever. Inspired by is what I call them, but inspired by speakers. They're inspired by Legendary. And I don't know which ones I'll be doing. It all depends. But, obviously, if you guys have ideas like that, I'd love to know them. We're actually, me and he's not here right now, but Tom Zarbo are working on an inspired by speaker as we talk. So that'll be coming out sometime next year.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. The clones I think are a really cool concept because there's some really fantastic speakers out there that that are stupid overpriced. And if you can build something, and that's one of the things I really like that you've done in the last year, Nick, is you put together several of those inspired by speakers. And this time last year, my intention was to build one of them, but I never got around to it, partly because plywood prices shot through the roof. And I haven't built as much stuff as I would have because, when you walk into Home Depot and see $60 for a sheet of MDF when it used to be 40, it's kind of like, I don't know if I want to build speakers this week. Maybe I can do some research on the internet and make a funny video about speaker codes or something.
No, you're right. And honestly, it really has affected my channel a lot this year because not only that, but we had a shortage where I was at. And there were times where I went into Home Depot and Lowe's and they had no MDF. And the only thing they had were like birch or oak plywood, which were $100 a sheet. And I'm like, I'm not spending $100 a sheet. I need 3 of these for one speaker. Like, I'm not, I couldn't do it.
And I've got a love-hate relationship with MDF. I really think for several reasons, it's really great for building speakers. First of all, it's exactly 3/4 of an inch thick, whereas plywood is, off by 30 seconds of an inch. But the dust that it creates is just so toxic and gets everywhere. And so I'd love to never build anything with it, but I love building things with it. So
Yeah,
Nick, I got a question for you.
If plywood prices were normal again, I'd probably be using birch ply a lot more. But birch ply is, still insanely expensive compared to, it's $90 a sheet, and we're talking about 60 still for MDF, which it used to be 30 and 50, So if it was back at 50, I would buy some for some, but I just no. And that's not entirely true with MDF either. We all know this, you can seal MDF, you can veneer it. You veneered yours. It wasn't what you made those, weren't they veneered?
Yep.
And that wasn't that made out of MDF? Dex?
Yeah. Yep. The kit was MDF. That's right.
Oh wow. Mullins 8 sheets of birch into a demo build so far. Ew.
We're gonna drive up to Mullins' house and we're gonna take the MDF. We're gonna take the birch.
We're gonna take his scraps that he throws out, and we're gonna make small little desktop speakers and stuff.
That stuff's worth so much that we can almost afford to drive to his house and yank that car back to Tennessee and make money on it.
That is funny.
I got a question for you.
Sure.
What were some of your biggest flops this year? Builds that you maybe you thought it would do well, or maybe you didn't know if it'd do well or not, but you put the video out there and it was absolutely terrible. What were some of your big flops?
Well, like I said, the amplifier one was a big flop, which was surprising to me because I really did think, and I'm going to try to, if my wife gets that message, I'm going to try to have her bring that up and deliver it to me so that I can show you guys that, because I know not everyone here has been able to see that. And I think that was surprising.
Laser cutting for the acrylic board, right?
Yeah. And then another one that I wouldn't say was a flop, but didn't do as well as I probably thought it would. And it still did really good. But the Epic Hi-Fis I thought would be a little bit better. And I think the main reason the Epic Hi-Fis didn't do as well is the price. They're still $1,000, right? To build.
Yeah.
And for some people, that's just that's getting too much in the DIY world, and I get that.
That's those new Parts Express drivers, right?
Yeah, and those are phenomenal drivers, and I understand. I get it. I wouldn't mind trying to build like a Dyna's V2 with that driver, and then just use it as a subwoofer, and then something like a coaxial, like that coaxial driver that you used.
Right. I've used PVC boards, SFR 292. I've used PVC for amp racks and speaker brackets and that kind of thing. It's real soft. It mills easy. But other than that, it's nothing special. Well, since one of your big flops was that amp, one of my biggest flops was this amp. And I have a bunch of Arylic devices laying around that I need to build.
And they're so great.
And put to use and make content. But the problem is none of my viewership wants to watch me do anything with these little amplifiers. And what's great about these things is they're Wi-Fi enabled, and you can set up whole house audio. And whole house audio is kind of like a laser. They're just expensive. And so if you want to do whole house audio, there's a few options out there, Sonos, for example. But this is probably the cheapest way to do it. And what I always say about these Arylic boards is you want to buy more than one, right? Just one of them, you may as well get right. If you're going to do just one of them, you get one of the little Dayton DSP boards or something like that and Bluetooth that sucker. But if you're going to do several of them, you house. We've been playing Christmas music in the kitchen a lot this week, and it would be nice to be able to pipe it through the kids' rooms and wake them up every morning at 7 a.m. And the other big flop is I actually had all the parts for this last year.
Hey, but real quick, Justin,
expensive. And that's all I needed was the 2x4s. What's that?
Oh, real quick. Starlene asked about doing a video on the Dayton. I did one on that. If you want to see it, and I have a project coming out with that one as well. They did. Wait, did you do a video on that too?
Yeah, they sent us both one.
I didn't think you did one yet. I thought you were going to do one with a project in it.
Yeah, I did something
Well,
with it,
well,
but I did a
either way,
I
we
did a
both did
build
one.
for a router table, and it got like 1,500 views, and it was
Ooh.
just like, oh, that's kind of a flop. And so I put a lot of work into that router table, and but there you go. Sometimes you make something and it's a flop. As I think about my other flops, apparently, even though I do so much car audio, people don't want to watch me build amp racks, apparently, because I built this nice, clean amp rack to put in my teenager's car. It didn't get a lot of views. And what really didn't get any views at all, not even worth filming, was when I put the head unit in the teenager's car. And so for some reason, no one wants to watch me install head units.
Yeah, I actually came to the conclusion that I stress out less when I accept money to do a video for some odd reason. I've only done that once, but I stress out less. I just feel like it's kind of out of my hands, you know. Otherwise, I feel like the video has to hit really, really well. You know, you do as good as you can. So you can't. There's no rhyme or reason why sometimes why a video does not do as good as you would think it would.
Yeah. You know, part of it is the whole YouTube algorithm likes consistency in that you keep kind of doing the same thing. And so when you switch from a shop furniture build to a car audio build to an amp dyno, it doesn't, the YouTube algorithm doesn't seem to share that with anybody.
Yeah, I agree. I went ahead and threw that in my feed. And it is rough. I mean, because sometimes we have to do things that you have. Sometimes you have to do like review videos, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. Oh, you were just talking about a Rillic. This is, by the way, this is the one that I just built. For those that did not see it. So this one I used in a laser engraver to do the whole thing. And it's pretty cool. It's walnut and cherry. And I mean, I guess you could use other tools. You could 3D print this for that matter, if you really wanted to. I mean, I would rather laser engrave it, but you could 3D print this. You'd have to change the file a little, like connect a couple pieces to make sure, you know, I would change the file a little.
It looked fantastic. I mean, the end product is not correlated with the video success, and that happens from time to time.
Yeah, and I will be using this when I do. I'm going to be doing a speaker build for this. So
you're going to match the speaker to the box to the amp enclosure.
I am. Yep, it'll be walnut, and this is the first time I used. What is this? I can't think of what I used. You'll have to watch the video because I can't remember what I used. I had saw in the picture. This is the first time I used this finish, and this finish is like super easy to use. It's literally wipe on, hour later, wipe it off, and you're done. And it's like good for the environment. All those good things. Yeah, you can eat off of it. You can put it on a cutting board and eat off.
That's
so
good.
There you go. You could literally eat off this amplifier. You could put sushi on it and eat.
There you go. So maybe you should start making sushi boxes and see if you get more views with sushi boxes.
I don't know what he means. Circuits. Odie's oil. Yep, that was it. Odie's oil. Circuits in Altoids boxes sounds old school to me. I'm not sure what you mean. Like 98% of speakers use crossovers. So if you're saying like using a crossover, I guess. I mean.
Well, okay. There's a question right there. What does YouTube seem to push out most to you that I get the most views on? So, I mean, I can show you if I can pull it up here, kind of what my big viewed videos are. And this is stuff you can see publicly. I think there's nothing really too behind the scenes about this. But my most viewed video ever was actually from 2021. It's a how does a port work video. And so far it's in my top 10. It's my second most viewed of the year. And then the second most viewed video of all time, the biggest one of the year, was this one. It's titled Bass in a Small Space. Basically, I made 3 really small, crappy sealed subwoofer enclosures and did some sweeps and just kind of showed how much the bass trails off with a small enclosure, with a small sealed box. And so if you look at my top stuff, it's very, the only product review in the top is that Kicker passive radiator enclosure, which started off kind of weak, but for some reason in the last like 3 months got lots of traction. And so it's what I like to call its theory is what I seem to get the best views on, where I explain something that's maybe a little bit technical and maybe a little bit complicated, and the audience tends to enjoy that. There's one of my viewers who leaves a thumbs up on every video, every comment, a thumbs up. I recognize it. I see it. I appreciate it. I love it when you do that. So
Justin hasn't done the topless vid yet. Woo!
Oh, just you wait.
Justin
Woo-hoo.
Gone Wild.
There you go. Thank you, Josh Kite, for the super chat at just the right time to change the topic.
Is that Justin Kite's chest?
Josh Kite.
Just kidding. Josh Kite. I'm sorry. I said Justin.
No, like videos, like one of my top view videos is understanding port length, right? Just like how long, what makes for how long is your port need to be and why kind of stuff. So that kind of stuff seems to get really good traction on my channel, and I don't know why it does. And I try to do more of that when I can.
You're right, and for me, it's builds, and in particular, it's typically builds that are based off of or inspired by other well-known builds.
Right. Kind of grab that name recognition. So
Clips and JBL. And one of the go ahead.
I was going to ask you what's something that did really well on your channel this year.
Well, actually, can I answer a different question?
No.
Okay. The question I'd like to answer, I'm going to be a politician here. No, I'm just kidding. The question I'd really like to answer instead is, what's something I want to do next year?
What do you want to do next year?
Yeah, because it kind of plays into hand of what we were just talking about. What I'd really like to do, and I got to talk to a couple different people, but I'd like to, you ever seen the real theater speakers behind a theater screen? Like JBL,
no, I've never seen
Klipsch.
No.
Well, they usually have like a big 15 or 18-inch woofer on them, and then they have like a mid-range and then a tweeter. And the mid-range is typically horn loaded, and same with the tweeter.
Gotcha.
And so I'd like to do something like that and end all in your face, do one that goes down to like, say 50 hertz, because you don't really need it to go down to 20 hertz. We want to keep the efficiency up. So keep that efficiency up, like 99 decibel efficiency, 18-inch woofer that hits 50 hertz and above. Like that's your chest bump, right? Like that's the bass that hits you in the chest. It's 50 hertz and above. And then either do like a compression coaxial or a mid-range and a tweeter that are compression drivers, and have those set up, do 3 of them across the soundstage. How awesome would that be if you could build those for your theater?
I mean, my living room would be far too small for that kind of
No, efficiency. It wouldn't. You just don't need to push it much. You would like that. That's a good thing though, right? If you have overhead, that overhead can go towards the bass department and kick you out of your chair.
Right. That is true.
I don't know. I think that would be really cool. So like doing like a clone of a true theater speaker, front soundstage speaker, for you to be able, and then you can pair it up with your Cinema 10s and have like the full true theater sound. I think that'd be really neat. I mean, I'd even be willing to do it with a 21-inch sub.
You got a pair of those laying around.
Well, you know what'd be cool is like, yeah, put those 21s at the bottom, sealed. They go down to 40 hertz already, so you don't have to do anything else with them. They're 99 decibel sensitive, and then just hook up a compression coaxial with a big horn on the back. That would be so cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. I'd like to see you build that. That would be a fun build. I think it'd be fun to build some of your THX clones, some of the ones you've made. That would be fun. I think I haven't done any upgrades to my home theater in a really long time, and so it's getting about time to do that. So maybe I need to build out a new home theater. My problem is I have these kind of sloping ceilings, and so I can't really do the in the ceiling speakers and the upper speakers for 7.1. But it'd be fun to try.
Yeah. I think it would be cool. And I'm also a big fan of the Cinema 10s. I think the Cinema 10s are one of the easier ones to put in someone's house and room, my opinion.
I need to make a new home theater subwoofer as well. I think that'd be fun. And I haven't built a home theater subwoofer in early part of 2021's the last time I built one. So
Let's get you a 21-inch from SB Audience and build you.
you know what I want to do? I want to
don't.
use the NVX sent me one of those 12s. They're VCW, they're a higher end 12. And that thing models beautifully for a home theater subwoofer. A 2 cubic foot box, flat all the way down to 20 hertz.
Really?
Ported. 2 cubic foot,
and
flat all the way down to 20 hertz. And
ported, and you don't have any issues with
big.
You don't have any issues with cone excursion? I mean, port velocity?
No. Now the port's going to be 45 feet long. So it's going to have a couple of passive radiators, or maybe 4 passive radiators, just as much excursion as that damn thing has.
Yeah.
But a pair of big 12-inch passive radiators and that big 12 on 1,000 watts would be an amazing home theater, kind of like that CSX one you did with the 2 passives and the 12. I think that would be awesome.
And I think that'd be really cool. I agree. Do some passive radiators. Someone was mentioning some passive radiators to me. It's a car passive radiator. I've never heard of it. I can't remember, but it has like 2 inches of X-Max. Yeah, I don't remember. They're probably not. I mean, I'd be concerned with how good they would sound necessarily, but I mean, heck, you could do like 1 or 2 of those and should be plenty fine.
My main thing for this next year is I just want to build more speakers. I feel like I did a lot of stuff, but didn't build as many speakers. I want to get better with my fabrication skills, right? I want to work with vinyl. I want to see if I can make some of that cool stuff work. Get my hands on some mobile solutions templates and just see what I can do.
I mean, that's one of the things that I want to start doing more this next year. I've started learning my CNC program a little bit better, and I want to start learning. Well, I don't know about learning, but start doing some more interesting, elaborate cabinets. Designing to look good. But I also want to make sure it's also repeatable. Someone else can do it.
That's I think important for what you do, because I think the stuff that resonates with your audience is the stuff that your audience can replicate. Will they not? I don't know. But the idea of, hey, you can just order these parts from Parts Express and buy this, buy the plans for me, and bam, you can make these $4,000 speakers for $400.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that's
I've
kind of the
heard
thing.
Energy horns.
Yeah.
Don't know much about them, but I have heard of them.
They're supposed to be neat. I've never even looked into building one. They use multiple drivers, and I don't really know how it works. Yeah, Dan, I had to remind myself who made it. It's Danley Sounds. Danley Sounds makes some really cool stuff, actually. If you haven't looked at their stuff, they have a lot of really, really nice, cool stuff. They're definitely someone that I would be interested in trying to replicate. Another speaker that I might try to replicate is, and when I say replicate, I'm going to use this term loosely, and I say replicate, and I don't really mean replicate. So I should say inspired by. It's something like the Per Listen, because the Per Listen does some really cool things that I think we can integrate fairly easily, that I like, and I would like to try to do that and what it looks like. And I think you could make a really cool home theater like that.
Cool. So Stu, I'm guessing you're talking about those things they use for the curved corners on enclosures. Yeah, those look like great ways to lose your finger. If I'm going to do those, I'm going to just ask Nick to cut me a bunch on his CNC.
I actually have those.
Oh, from Mobile Solutions, the corner radius templates?
Well, no, I have some corner radius templates. I don't have them from Mobile Solutions. I do have some from, I have no idea, Amazon.
I think these are the ones that are designed to they use them for truck boxes and stuff. So if you want big rounded corners on your boxes, they count for stack fab use. I don't know if I want to try stack fab, not with the wood prices where they are now.
I know I've been wanting to do some more stack fab things, but you're right. I mean, the prices, it gets to the point where you ask yourself, what's more important to you? Yeah, earthquake slaps. Those were the ones I was thinking about earlier. The earthquake slap passive radiators. They're right.
What I find interesting with the Stack Fab is that when I'm browsing through YouTube and I find some random person who's made a few videos and one of them's taken off and has 20 million views, it's where they've done like a Stack Fab or something like that. Here's a question for you, Nick.
They have to be the right size so that you can do one affordably. Otherwise, it's just not worth it. Car sub versus
PA sub.
Subsonic indoors. Well, it's neither are best suited because first of all, we got to decide on what size we're talking about here, because if we're talking about like a 12-inch, then I'd probably go with a car sub. If we're talking about a 21-inch, then I'd be going with a PA sub. But neither of them are best suited for subsonic level per se, because PA subs are designed under high efficiency. And so with that high efficiency, we usually don't get low in room extension unless we go very big, like the 21-inch, which is what the whole point of that video that I was doing was, look, if you get a really big one, you can put it in a much smaller sealed box, and you're actually smaller than your 18-inch subwoofer box, and it sounds great. So for me, I would do like a 21-inch PA sub if I was going sealed. If I'm going ported, you'd have to check the ported on the PA subs, because what you're going to want to do is probably do an extended bass shelf, something like a -3 to -6 decibel PA, bass shelf, so that you can get down to your 20 hertz and be fine. You should be able to do that probably with a car subwoofer as well, but car subwoofers typically are designed to be tuned more than the 30 hertz range. And the problem with a lot of car subwoofers is they don't take into account, if we're talking about high excursion car subwoofers, which is what I'm thinking of when you say that, they don't take into account port noise or port velocity. And so oftentimes, if you want to use the full recommended power that you can give that, which you're going to want to, because it's going to be a very low efficiency subwoofer, you're going to suffer on the port noise. That's not across the board. Okay. This is a very broad generality. Okay. And so there's going to be people that are going to say there's a lot of really great car subwoofers that work in home theater, and there are. So I'm not going to say there aren't. So if I'm speaking generalities, bigger, I'd go PA. Smaller, I'd go car subwoofer. And there, and really, car subwoofer is really just a marketing term.
Right. I tend to view it doesn't matter the speaker type of the brand or who sells it or what it's intended for. I look at a speaker as a set of TS parameters, right? It's a set of specifications, and some specifications work better in some environments. That's the best way to view it. Hey, I want to show this.
Yeah, and Brian Steele said something. He said, modern car audio and I agree with this. Modern car audio subwoofers seem like one-note wonders to me. High LE, high QTS, very inefficient, not my choice for home audio use. And that's exactly what I was trying to say, is that most of them I probably wouldn't use in home audio. I don't think it's going to be a good fit, but you can find some
design decisions made in order to handle large amounts of power.
Because and get you high SPL.
Right.
But
because in the car audio world, it's all about how much power can you handle. What's the power? What's the watts? That's all people care about.
And what's funny though is that we think like we want high SPL, and we do in home audio. I'm not going to say we don't want, but we want clean high SPL, where car audio typically is less concerned with that. They just want very, very loud with lots of power. They don't care if all you hear is port noise. They don't care if your whole car shakes apart, those types of things, it is what it is. It's just a different philosophy.
I want to talk about this thing briefly, Nick. This is the NVX XBB-R2. For those that don't know what this is a clone of Audio Control's Epicenter, their Epicenter Mini. And I want to take a minute to talk a little bit about what this thing is and the technology behind it. So Audio Control patented this Epicenter technology, the bass enhancement technology, back in like the 80s. And it's been off patent for a while. And this is something that NVX sent me. They sent me a bunch of stuff this year. This was the first box they sent me. And I opened this up and I thought, man, I I think these are gimmicks, right? I don't see what the purpose behind these are. I look them up to my RTA and I was really kind of shocked. It actually does a thing. It's not just a fancy output converter or a bass boost. This thing actually will read the signal coming in and look for low frequency signal, route that low frequency somewhere else inside the processor, and create another signal that's an octave low roughly, and then route that towards the output. So it actually does add bass where it wasn't before. I have not hooked it up inside of a vehicle yet. I would like to try that at some point. And the thing I really liked about it is it's the same patented, same patent as the audio control, and does the exact same thing. And I was really shocked at A, the price, and B, that it actually isn't just some gimmick. It actually does a thing. Some people don't like the sound, but I would imagine if you're listening to a lot of like 80s rock, something like this would really, really make the music come alive.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
It was kind of neat. I was a fun toy to play with. One of my other favorites of the year was the JP8 amplifier. I've been running it most of the year, swapping different amps in and out, and I've enjoyed it quite a bit, except for the brightness on the bass knob. And looking forward to swapping out its big brother sometime in 2023. I've got a JP23 sitting on the shelf, ready to go. Awesome.
I would say that my favorite thing, by the way, I would say that my favorite thing to play with this year was those 21-inch subwoofers. I swear to you, like, and it's kind of funny too, because, we are often, we have affiliate sales, and I don't make any affiliate sales off of SB Audience. So if you buy the 21-inch subwoofer, I don't make any money off it. I mean, I don't mind if you use my link. I mean, that's great, but I don't actually get any commission off it. But they're just really cool and really fun to play with. And they are by far the best sounding subwoofers I've ever had in my theater. I just love them. I mean, they're sealed and they dig down low, and I feel like I'm getting a massage every time I watch a movie. It's great.
I'd like to hear them sometime. So a couple of comments that we started earlier where some people were talking about what they've been doing. Raul Levere Jr. got a new truck in 2023, an LTZ 2500 for Hot Shot. There you go. Going to put a lot of miles on it for sure. Brian Steele earlier said that he installed an EVX 4x4 DSP. I'm not familiar with the EVX 4x4 DSP. Are you familiar with it, Nick?
I'm not familiar with it. Nope.
And SFR 292 completely stripped a Scion XB, 100% coverage with kill mat, then covered with closed cell, put in a touchscreen, 150 by 4 amp, Crossfire XT Pro 6s, NVX 3.5s, and now experimenting with box design. Love to hear what you end up putting in it, because that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, that'll be really cool.
EVX is out of Germany, so that's a new brand on me.
I hear they make good watches.
EVX?
Just kidding. Just Germany. All right, never mind. I would try some infinite baffle subwoofers. I might even build some infinite baffle subwoofers. I've been contemplating whether to build some infinite baffle speakers in general. Well, I should say open baffle.
Open baffle, yeah.
Yeah, infinite baffle really doesn't interest me as much, mainly because of my area. It just doesn't really, it wouldn't be utilized. I wouldn't utilize it as much. For some people, I completely understand why you'd want to do that, but you use less power, so you're going to get less SPL because you have no real box, right? So, you have to use more subwoofers, and then you have to use more amplifier power and all that. But I can understand why some people would use it, and I can definitely understand the appeal for it as well. I just don't know that it really fits what I do.
If I had a car with a trunk, I would try an IB setup. but I don't, so I can't.
Yeah, and you know what? In a car, I think infinite baffle makes a lot more sense when you're not going for like high SPL.
Right. It'd be fun to get one of those Image Dynamics big 15s and put one of those infinite baffle. I think that's the standard use for that.
That'd be really fun. I think that's just cool too, because you don't have to build a box. You don't take up as much trunk space, right? Like, it's kind of neat. Oh, it's 6x6.
Can fit in the dash.
Hmm.
That's cool. Being able to fit things in the dash is important.
And in the trunk, for that matter.
Right.
Or the back seat that you no longer have. Are you getting rid of your back seat in 2023?
I am. I had planned on pulling it out by now, but I'm going to have to use the back seat for something here in a few days. And so early January, I hope to make a video where I make a big deal out of pulling the back seat out and saying, aha, let's go for it. Just going to put a piece of plywood down and bolt it down where the seat bolt holes were, and just basically is to make a test bench so that I can hook up a big amplifier with the new alternator I've got and the new batteries, and just stick a big subwoofer in there and pound away and see how it goes.
Yeah. Or an isobaric build. You know what? I don't remember if my isobaric build was this year or last year, but that was actually one of my favorite builds still too, because it was $100, right? It was $100 to build that isobaric. I mean, you had to have an amplifier. So, some people got mad at me, but I did say 100. I said best $100 subwoofer. I didn't say best
it was
powered.
It was last year, because those things have gone up in price and you can't build it for $100 anymore.
Yeah. Well, it might have been last year, but that was a really fun build, man. I'll tell you what, those GRS subs and the isobaric was just so much fun. Hi, fellas. Hey, high five. We need to get him back.
Good to see you, man. Hope you're having Rob, what's your biggest highlight of the year? Tell us.
I'm mad at Rob.
Why is that?
Well, because I asked Rob like 6 months ago. Not really. It was like probably 3 months ago. I don't know. I'm not good with time. To send me his logo via email. And he said, I'll do it like the next day. And he still hasn't done it.
What are you going to do with that, man?
Well, if I told you, then it wouldn't be a surprise. So maybe this public humiliation will get him to send me it via email. Either that or he'll never send it now.
There's nothing more effective than public humiliation. That is the best way to shame someone to doing something.
Yeah. If he never gets it. Oh, you know what? Actually, another video I want to do, and I will be doing next year, is I do have these Alpine or Infinity speakers back here that are car audio speakers. It's a car component set. And I want to test the difference between like putting those in a bookshelf setup with just that crossover versus a custom crossover. Is it even worth doing? What's it going to be like? How's that crossover work? I have no idea. I mean, I'll just be curious.
Rob sent you when you were still on the show, when he was still on the show before he left us, before he abandoned us.
I couldn't hear you.
I said, oh, wait.
Your mic's cutting out, Justin. I think, we lost Justin again. There he goes. Oh, jeez.
Nick, what do you got coming up next? What's your next project on the channel? What do you have coming out this week?
Well, you know what? First of all, within the next 7 days is going to be Christmas. So first thing I want to say is I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. We're not going to be doing sound advice for a few weeks afterwards too. So have a Happy New Year. We probably won't be able to wish you guys that. So definitely Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to those things. I don't know that I'm going to have a video out before Christmas. If I do, it'll be on a budget projector, which is one of the things I'm really enjoying doing lately is some projector videos. I'm just so surprised at how good these budget projectors are nowadays. It's so shocking to me that you can get an $80 projector that I would be fine using as a budget projector for my home theater. I mean, there's definitely things that you have to know about the $80 projector to make sure you're fine. But I mean, it beats spending $800 to $1,500 to $3,000, so if you want to try one out. I have one that's like 200 and some dollars that has like much better keystoning, so you can really position it better. I haven't even seen it on paper yet, so I'm excited to see what that looks like. So I want to get that video out because I'm just excited to do it.
Well, I've got another a Toto project that I need a product that I need to do a review on, and I hope to get it out by Christmas. And I had planned on, knocking that one out quick and simple and having 2 or 3 pop out between last weekend and Christmas. But that's not going to happen. We're about to have a polar vortex sweep through this part of the world, and it's going to be too cold to work. So I don't know what I'm going to accomplish between now and Christmas. It may be nothing. You might not see anything on it until January 20th. So we'll see how it goes.
I got to say, Brian Steele, I swear he's like reading my hypothesis right out of like my computer, because that's exactly what my opinion is that they just picked a crossover point, say 2500 hertz or whatever. Don't have anything to do with phasing. Doesn't have anything to do. It's just 2500 hertz or 3000 or whatever, and cross it over. And they only care about power distribution. So when I put it in the bookshelf speaker, we're probably going to see a pretty large phase dip, most likely, or at least some type of phase issue there. That's not going to be very good.
All right. Here's my competing hypothesis. They're designed to sound good on a demo wall inside a car stereo shop.
I knew you were going to say that. I actually am probably going to ask you to do that. We'll have competing. Maybe we'll do a competing hypothesis on that video, because I want to know like what your thought is, and then one of us is probably right. Well, one of us has to be right. So I'll be curious which one it is.
Nope. There's no guarantee of that. Being wrong is always an option.
Starlene, watch my Starlene. I don't mean to be like, I posted that video in the chat somewhere, but watch that video on the 1x100x4 that I sent, because I think that will clarify a lot of the issues that you're having with the 1x100x4, the DSP amp. And Justin, yours might too. I don't remember yours.
I don't remember either. All I know is we've been at it for an hour and my cat is getting in the way. So I think we need to wrap it up here, unless you've got something else you want to add, Nick.
No, I'm just glad that you guys still watch our show. We enjoy you guys and we appreciate you guys. So thank you.
Thank you all. Yes. Thank you for the like buttons, and thank you, Stu, for tuning in. Thank you, everybody. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And hitting the end broadcast button.
And high five, Vega.